Hi guys, thanks for clicking on the video today. I'm Elliot, a barber based in central London. So the normal content I do for this channel, I've got into a bit of a rhythm and routine with it. I do a vlog on a Monday, I then do a shaving ASMR on a Wednesday, and then my show Men's Grooming Weekly, that goes out on a Friday. But as I'm in lockdown, there's going to be a load more content coming, and I decided to do a few Q&As. So this is the first one today. So I put a post out onto my YouTube over the weekend, tried to get a few questions. I've took them, and here we are. And the first question is from Giuseppe. Would like to ask you about hair a bit frizzy, what should I do? And generally what is necessary to do for face care. So frizziness is a big problem. I used to struggle with that if I didn't put any product in. My hair would just feel as though it got super big, super massive. Generally people get frizzy if they have like a little bit of a curl or a little bit of a wave in the hair. A product I found great for dealing with frizz is from L'Oreal. It's called their Liss Styling Cream or Liss Control Cream. I think that's been great. You put that in whilst the hair is still on the damp side. It does what it says on the tin, really. It controls it. It nourishes it. If the hair's straight, it tends to sort of get rid of frizz if it is on the frizzy side. It's quite a lightweight cream. You work that into the hair whilst it's damp, work that all the way from the roots to the tips. You can either let that naturally air dry or you can dry it with a dryer. If your hair gets on the frizzy side, you don't want to be blowing it around everywhere. So maybe using a diffuser, that might work well with it. And not so much when you go into supermarkets or when you go into sort of like the men's sections of supermarkets or like Boots or any of like the drugstores, they don't tend to have it. But if you go into, say, the women's section, there's lots of different frizz products. There's lots of stuff that you can just spray into the hair whilst the hair is still damp, and it just helps to keep the hair just way under more control. So if you, as opposed to just going into the men's section and looking at those sort of the pastes or the clay, have a little wander into the women's section and you'll see a whole host of different products there. So that'd be a good way of starting it. In terms of skincare, I think there's a few steps that every guy can do, and really it doesn't need to be overly complicated. I think it's very easy now to sort of all the targeted ads you get, and it's sort of glycolic acid and all these sort of different things, and there's all names that it's hard to pronounce. But I think you can't go wrong if you use a cleanser, which you can use in the morning, use the same one at night. Do you finish washing the face, I would say to get something like a muslin cloth, as opposed to using a towel that would just sort of you'd use to dry your hands or you've used to dry your body. Get a muslin cloth which is fresh each time, so you'd maybe have like a pack of 7 and then wash them each time. Pat that dry on your face just after you've just cleaned it. The last thing you want to do is put a dirty towel on your face, so use a new muslin cloth each time. Then you want to use a toner, put that onto a cotton pad, work that onto the face, just very gentle with it. We don't want to be too aggressive with it. And a moisturizer. You want to make sure you're looking for something that has UV protection, or else kind of the moisturizer is just not really doing anything for the day. And they're a great start, really. Obviously you can get way more in depth if you once you really get into it and you sort of work out what actually works for you, what's not working for you, then you can build upon it. But that's a great sort of basis and a great way to start with it. And second question from Joshua is, what are your end of year goals? Now, I'm not someone that ever tends to set too many goals. I think when I used to play a lot of golf, I did used to set a lot of goals. I would always at the start of the year or partway through the year, I'd add to them, see how far I was getting with them. And I don't know, I think I always used to set really ambitious goals. And now I think I've stopped doing that. And what I focus on is moving forward. As long as I'm moving forward, I feel like, okay, that's cool and everything seems to be okay. There's been times over the last few years where I felt like, oh, maybe I am actually stagnating a little bit, so I'll change something up and then make sure that it is then going forward again. I don't tend to set too many goals because I feel like then I'm hyper focused on getting to that specific place. Whereas at the moment, I kind of feel like I want to be open to lots of different opportunities and see where things are taking me. I think I have a little bit of a problem of sort of once I have my mind on like that specific thing, then I'll just go head first for that and not necessarily see too much what's going on. So that's been something I've tried to do since moving down to London almost 5 years ago, is like trying to add layers to the onion. So just get involved with as many different things as possible. So if it's learning makeup with Joe, to be able to then go onto the set, if it's learning how to make sure I cut the hair as best as possible, learning how to do these videos, things like that. So all things that are helping me to get better, but not necessarily specifically in any one direction. I tried to learn a bit of business to be able to sort of open up my shop. That's probably going to be a little bit off in the future at the moment, because I feel like there's actually other things maybe that I want to go down. I feel like focusing on the Elliot Forbes brand at the moment of sort of like the content, I'm really enjoying that, really loving that. Whereas if I'd been hyper focused on, right, I've got to open this shop, then maybe I wouldn't be in the position where I am now, really enjoying this. And as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as I'm moving forward, then I'm pretty content with it. What I did say at my birthday last year in October that Kasia asked me, well, where do you see yourself in a year? And at that time, I actually said to her, I picture having like a videographer and an editor sort of like on board, and then there would be, say, the 4 or the 5 of us going out for a birthday meal. So that's something, I think that's probably not going to be too far off, getting someone involved to help record, help edit everything. Yeah, so potentially that's going to be for the future over the next period of time. And the next question is from Oscar. Have you ever had a customer not like their haircut? And the answer to that is I'm probably sure there's been lots of people that haven't liked their haircuts. I would imagine, especially when I first started cutting hair. But I've never had someone come up to me in the shop and complain about it. I've never actually had a complaint about me or to me about one of my services. I'm sure people might have been unhappy with it at certain points, but they've never come to me or made it known to myself. There's definitely been certain times where something's come in when I first started my career of they would ask for something, I wasn't fully sure on how to do it. I feel like I'm very good at winging things like that. But the whole time during that haircut, absolutely just feeling like, oh my God, pressure's on, absolutely hating it because I just didn't know what to do. And that's the thing, like if you don't know what it is you're actually trying to do, then the pressure is really on massively, isn't it? But then having those experiences and being fully out of my comfort zone, I think has helped massively, because then when that person's come in, I haven't known how to do it. Then over the next period of time, over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, I've really then focused on how to be able to do that haircut, or how to be able to achieve that style, or to be able to say to them, actually, no, I don't think that style would work on you. I think actually maybe this would work on you a bit better. And I think that comes with experience as well. I think you end up cutting so many heads of hair, and you end up cutting so many different types of people and their hair, that you learn what will work, what won't work. If you cut that type of hair to that length and how that will react, whether it will jump up or whether that's going to lay down, whether the texture's not going to come out at that length. And it's amazing how just by constantly cutting and doing it, you learn so much just about hair. As with anything, really, the more you do it, the more you get to know it, don't you? And this next question is from Fedal79. When cutting your own hair, what's the technique with your hand to reach it properly? Now, I'll be honest, cutting my own hair, I've been doing it for just over 2 years now, and I've got used to it, but my God, it's still not easy. And definitely when I first started it was not easy then at all. The big problem I had when I first started cutting my own hair was that actually I'd look in the mirror and I'd be trying to move it round this way and move it back there, but my hand kept moving this way, and I'd sort of go, it'd be like, oh, no, because you're looking in the mirror and it just completely throws you off. And it is really hard, even for someone that knows how to cut hair. It is still, to be able to cut your own hair, it is still like really quite a tough task. When I'm sort of doing the sides, it's not too bad because you can just look in the mirror and you can see it there. The problem area is when it gets around to the back area. I always have a mirror in front of me, then I have the mirror in this left hand. So I'll move it through there, I'll see it that side, and then I'll move it around, come into that side, coming in that way. Do I actually, or? No, actually I always have it coming around the back, so then I'll do it like that. I never actually bring it around that side, so it's always coming in through there. In terms of the top, that's just a case of just picking it up, making sure that you're pulling it out straight from the head and then chopping into it. I always cut it so it's sort of at a bit of an angle, so it has that texture to it, as opposed to cutting a blunt straight line. If you cut a blunt straight line, then it's just going to look really heavy and solid in the hair. It's Invalid asks, my question is, what's your end goal on YouTube and social media? Well, the whole reason why I started social media and posting online was to be able to get more customers into the shop and use it as like a marketing tool. The plan was never really to be, I say, an influencer. And to be honest, I'll never call myself an influencer or never refer to myself as an influencer. I'm like a hairdresser or a barber that puts content out. So I guess the end goal with it is that, well, eventually in a few years, I will have my own barbershops. Probably quite a few of them, I'd imagine, whether they'll be across London, around the whole of UK. I'm not entirely sure what that will be at the moment. But I guess the end goal of it is to gain exposure that when I do open my own shops, they'll be completely full. So having customers coming in all the time, having all of my staff nice and busy so that the shop's bouncing. Obviously, when you go to a barbershop and it's busy, it's a great experience. It's a great feeling. I love it when the barbershop is busy, hustling, and there's a real vibe and a real sort of feel to the shop, and I love it. It's real energy to it. Obviously, I'm in a bit of a different situation at the moment where it's just me in here, but also that's cool because it's a real private feel to it. The second part of that then is that I want to gain exposure to other barbers and hairdressers to make them then want to work as a team. I guess now the following has gone up on TikTok, so that is quite a large amount of followers on there. And today, actually, as a side note, I hit 2 million followers on there today, which is crazy. So I guess that does also open up the ideas of doing brand deals. Obviously, I've done one sort of with Philips. But then obviously as that keeps growing, that gives the potential to do more brand deals, which was never really on my mind of doing things like that. But the potential for it is there now that the attention's there. I've always wanted to have my own product range as well, but I wanted to make sure that it's going to be a real well done, really considered range. It would be easy for me now just to go to a chemist and just put something on, or even just go to like a white label and just put my sticker on it and try and sell that. But that's not me at all. I want it to be really well done, something that is I'd be proud to use. If I charge £55 for a haircut. So my whole sort of who I am, it's sort of higher and done well. It's not just sort of haphazard and shitty. I want something to be done well. So I will wait until the right time to be able to put the products together. I think the same thing will happen when I have like a shaving set. I think that's inevitable because so many people are asking me about the shaving sets, and there's certain things of products where I think could be done better. So I think that'll be a natural progression of it all to sort of more so and just builds and builds and builds. And then Lucas says, my question is, what do you like best about your profession? Now, I gotta be honest, I do absolutely love cutting hair, but by far the best thing I love about being a barber is actually the people you get to meet. I'm so lucky that I work in central London, so you get to meet people that are actually doing things. They're sort of the people that have moved from different places to London, so it's like a real hub of really exciting, interesting people that are actually doing things with their lives. They're actually sort of going out and making things happen. I've been very lucky to cut some actors' hair, some quite famous people's hair. You talk to them and they're really interesting. They've got stories to tell. I don't really have like a favourite haircut that I've ever done, but there's definitely a few haircuts that I remember that were really fun and really enjoyable and just made me feel so excited talking to that person. I can't really remember the actual haircut that I did on them, but the actual whole experience with them was so fun. I would say I really enjoy shaving when I'm in the shop because, as you can imagine, when I'm with someone, you're talking the whole time and it's almost like you're on show because you've got to be acting like you're sort of like a bit of a character and they want to have a laugh with you, you want to have a laugh with them. So that can be pretty exhausting, especially when you're doing sort of 10, 12, 14 haircuts a day. It's tiring. So when I get to do a shave, it's lovely because the person in the chair, they're relaxed, they're completely zoned out. And then I'm also able to do that as well. Obviously, when we're shaving, no one's talking. So you just go through the motions. It's a real nice ritual to get into, and it's something that I do love doing. If I had to do that all day, every day, would I enjoy it as much? Probably not, because then that would also feel like I was too quiet. So it's getting that nice balance, isn't it? And Devin asks, hey Elliot, can you update us on your face care routine again? So I have 2 face washes which I sort of use sporadically, which I'll sort of mix and match depending on how I feel during that day. And both of them are from Kiehl's. I think it's the Ultra Oil Cleanse. I'll put it up on the side here, and then there's the Calendula face wash. These are both quite well. The Calendula one, that's quite soft. It foams up a little bit, but not too much. It doesn't feel like it really strips the face, but it feels clean. The blue one is if I feel like my face is really dirty and it feels like I really need to strip it down. I use this one more during the summer and sort of only probably 2 or 3 times a week because it does feel as though it really gets rid of all the oil. I have very oily skin, so I will use that. And then I've been using this Paula's Choice BHA, which has been great actually. I've really noticed quite a difference with my nose. The pores on my nose tend to get really clogged, and I've noticed quite a bit of a difference since using this actually. So you'd pour that onto one of the pads, just work that across the face, across the T-zone, and then that naturally dries into the skin. It doesn't really leave any sort of residue or anything. You don't really feel anything on the face, but I leave that on there. And yeah, then over a period of time, I've noticed it actually has cleared that up quite nicely. Then in the morning, I'll use the niacinamide from The Ordinary, just work that across the whole face, work that in very gently, very softly. That helps to reduce any redness, and it helps to sort of try and even out the balance of the skin. If it's the evening, I'll also put the hyaluronic acid from The Ordinary on as well. I've noticed that if I put that on in the morning, my face looks really shiny. I gotta be honest, because my skin is on the oily side, I hate having like a shiny face, so I'll never put that on in the morning. I just put that on in the evening. And then there's a couple of different moisturizers that I'll use. So if I'm putting my face on in the morning, then I'll use, the brand is called First Aid Beauty, and my fiance, she put me onto these actually, and they've been really quite nice. So the one I'll use in the morning is the Ultra Repair Oil Control Moisturizer. That was really quite nice. It's very soft, very fine, and something I always look for when I'm putting on a day moisturizer on is something that doesn't really feel like I've got anything on my face. There's a couple times where if you like scrunch your face, you'll be able to feel as though something's on there. I hate that, and it almost feels like there's a film on there. With this, it feels like it really sinks into the skin. It doesn't feel like there's anything on your face, so that's been really quite nice. Then I'll use in the evening the Ultra Repair Hydra Firm Sleeping Cream. Now this is really Now the texture compared to the day one, it's completely different. This one is thick. It's really sort of almost a little bit like Sudocreme. You put that onto the face and it takes a little bit of time to work that in. It almost is a little bit like sunscreen, like a thicker sunscreen where you have to like really work it in. The face gets a bit white, but definitely like you wake up in the morning, the skin feels great. That doesn't feel as though it's super heavy in the morning, and it doesn't really feel like it's left any residue. So it definitely feels as though it is really nourishing the skin, and that's, for me, they're working really nicely at the moment. But also, I really fancy trying things up as well. I love trying new products. So if there's anything that you guys recommend, then drop a comment down below. And also, yeah, let me know because I'm always interested. Davis Dowdy, what's your favorite razor to use? And when you have acne, how would you recommend to shave? So my favorite razor for my face is the R89 from Mueller. It's a closed tooth comb, so it's great if you're sort of like a beginner or if you're an introductory into shaving. It's a really quite small one. It doesn't have lots of weight to it. I think it's really elegant. It sits lovely in the bathroom. The head on it is very gentle. It's not really aggressive when you work it onto the face. It's got enough weight behind it that you don't really have to apply any pressure to it. And for my face, which is on the sensitive side, this is great. It just sort of, I don't really have to think too much about shaving with it. I can just sort of let the razor do the work. I like the rose gold because it just gives it a little bit extra detail to it as opposed to just the normal chrome one. But my favorite one, if my face was a little bit more forgiving, then it would be this one, which is the Rocker from Mueller, and it's a matte black, and it is super cool. It's like real stealth mode. I actually shaved with this yesterday for a new video, and to be honest, it's quite a lot heavier than the R89, and the way that the head is here, it actually exposes much more of the blade, so it is much more of an aggressive shave, and the weight behind it, then it just is just applying more pressure to the face. And to be honest, my skin can't really take it. It was a little bit angry after I shaved last night, but it is an absolute bad boy shaver for sure. I tell you what would be really cool if they did an R89 and they did that like in complete matte black as well. That would be a real cool option. I think that would be. Also, I think that would sell really well as well, because I think the R89s, they're like £34, which, like, for an introduction and like for a great start to shaving, that's brilliant. I think this one is a little bit more, well, this definitely is a bit more expensive. I think it's around £50 or £60, which is still great. If for a razor, it's a lifetime piece, so it lasts a long time. But I think something like that in a matte black would be sick. And then if you have acne, what I would say about that is I would try and avoid shaving at all, actually. I started shaving when I was 15 or 16, and I had acne then, and realistically, in hindsight, it was no good for my face at all. I used to shave, and I would sort of then take the head off the spots. You'd have little blood spots everywhere, and then you'd just sort of be spreading that across the face, and it just sort of, it always was angry, and it always just flared up even more so. So looking back now, I wish I'd just got like a pair of mini trimmers, so a little pair of clippers that take it really short, and just took it down short with that. Like when you're 16, 17 or 18 or something like that, the density of the hair is not crazy dark, so it's not super obvious, so you don't need to go all the way down to the skin. So if you have acne, I would just say use an electric trimmer, take it down nice and short. That way the acne's never really going to get too angry and flare up. Alternatively, you can then use a pair of foils, which is a bit softer on the skin as well. They will take it as short as if you were shaving, but they don't aggravate the skin as much as well. They're an option, but does it need to go that short? I'm not really too sure. I think you could go down just to the mini trimmers. And Eric asks, how long have you been in the business for? So we are now January 2021. I moved down to London in April 2016. So it's almost 5 years from when I first picked up a pair of scissors. I think it was the 18th of April. Or I moved down on the 17th, then the 18th, it was the first day of sort of the London School of Barbering, learning how to cut hair, and that was when I first held the first pair of scissors. Yeah, so almost 5 years, and that time has just gone by in an absolute heartbeat. To be honest, I can't believe that I've been in London that long. It's been brilliant. I've loved being in the hair industry. It's so much fun. I've met some fantastic people, and it's really felt like everything has moved on very quickly, and it's been a real nice sort of progression. And yeah, I'm super excited to see where the next 5 years take it. I think it's going to be a fun journey. So there we go, guys. Thanks a lot for watching if you've got this far, and thank you for asking any of the questions that you did. All the support that you guys have been showing me is really been blowing me away, and I am so thankful for all of you that are sticking around and watching. It really does mean a lot. I think it's seeing how it was not really doing anything for a long time, and that was my own fault. Like the videos were rubbish, and I'm not saying the videos are any better now, but I think you learn and you get better as you sort of keep creating content. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. The way that it is growing, and the support that you guys are showing, it really does mean an awful lot. There's so many of you that are sort of sending DMs on Instagram and just sort of sending very nice, kind words, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you to all of you. Let me know if you think this works, whether it's something you want to see more of or not, and give me some feedback down below, because it's weird for me talking into a camera. It is great when you guys do give me some back and some feedback. So have a great rest of your day, guys. Much love, Elliot.